everybody. I'm Scotty T from your Comedy Minute. This has been 4 months in the making.
Oh, yeah.
Victoria Arnstein is here. My God, I could not be happier.
Aw.
I mean it. 4 months.
I'm happy to be here, Scott.
You're
Yeah.
in New York, right?
Yes.
Born and raised in New York.
Yes.
Your whole life.
No, I went to Hawaii for 7 years.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought you spent a little time in Hawaii.
Yeah.
When did you start doing comedy?
2012.
Okay, and was there a catalyst? Was there something that said, Victoria, go do comedy?
I wanted to do comedy in my 20s,
Okay,
but as a single girl and growing up in a very small community in Brooklyn, the
right.
Sephardic community, Sephardic Jewish community, I was very torn because I knew that I was different and I knew that I was funny on stage because I would do theater.
Okay.
And I was a singer and I was
Okay.
going to go the Broadway route, but something told me to do comedy. And I was very torn because girls that want to get married don't do stuff like that. They just don't. They just don't. You just
I,
ruin your chances. You do. I mean, had I known,
I don't mean to laugh. I'm just going along with you.
yeah, and I was scared. I needed to get married. That was like my goal, and that was not fitting in the end goal. So if I wanted to marry a Sephardic Jewish man, they weren't going to have it. I know it. They still would say the same thing. It's a red flag for them. So I was like, already, I was getting in my late 20s, and if I was going to do that, it would be game over for my marriage, idea
Right.
goal. And so I just squashed it. I put it aside. At the time, there were open mics at midnight, but I lived in Brooklyn. And what was a 20-something-year-old girl going to do at
Right.
2
Right. Right.
a.m.?
Right.
So I
Okay.
was like, forget it. I'm just not going to do it. It's not for me. I always admired comics. And then, uh, like Wendy Liebman was a woman comic. I was like,
Yeah.
wow. And Ellen DeGeneres and Rita
Yeah.
Rudner. And I'm like, they're doing it. Elaine Boozley, whatever her name was. And I was like, they're doing it, but they must have a certain not give a shit attitude because I can't do that. And then I was about 10 years into my marriage, 3 kids later. My husband said out of nowhere, you'd be really good at stand up. He had no idea I wanted to do it. He's
Wow.
like, you'd be really good at stand up. You're very funny. I think you should take a class. And I'm like, will you watch the kids? I'll take a night class. He goes, yeah. Once a week, I went for 6 weeks. I didn't learn much, but I did have a graduation class and
Right.
I didn't even have anything prepared. I didn't know anything about how to structure a joke or anything like that. So I ended up just telling a story that I would tell at a dinner party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a couple of stories, short little things. There was no punchline or anything like that.
Yep.
They were just, animated stories
Yep.
that I was telling anyway.
Yep.
So I told like a few little things like that, or what do you think of this, or what do you think of a woman president? And my husband was the only one I took to. It was Gotham Comedy Club, and he
Yeah.
was the
I know
only
it.
one. Yeah, and he was the only one that I took, and he didn't even want to go. He's like cringing. He's like, "Oh my God, what if you bomb? What if you this? You that?" I go, "I don't care. It's six
Don't
minutes
do
of
it.
my life. I don't care."
Right.
I get on the stage, and because I'm a theater background,
Right.
I had no stage fright.
Yeah.
Beforehand, yes. The second my feet hit the stage,
Okay.
completely, you wouldn't even know I was on stage. Like if you checked my pulse, you wouldn't know.
Right.
I didn't bomb. I was good. And
Yeah.
I get off the stage, and my husband texted me from across the
Yeah.
room. Well, you didn't suck. I was like, can I have a hug? It's my first time on a stage in front of 250 people. Anyway, so
For a fat girl, you don't sweat much.
so I ended
I'm
up
sorry.
so I
I'm
ended
sorry.
up so I ended up going to uh what else did I do? Right after that, I sent the video to a couple of people and put it
Okay.
online, and people were like, wow, I can't believe you did this. This is really great.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to say, when I got off the stage, there was a tall guy that said to me, is that your first time on? So I
Right.
said, yeah. Can't you tell? He goes, no, you're a natural. You should keep
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then he gets on stage. I'm like, I don't remember him from my class. And I asked someone, I'm like, who's that guy? They're like, you don't know Jim Gaffigan? I'm like, no.
Wow.
Well, he told me I was a natural, which is funny because I ended up telling him when I met him a couple of months ago. I said, you told me that. He goes, did I? I said, yeah, and I never forgot it.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, he told me I was a natural, and I was like, okay, and I didn't know who he was, so it wasn't like I was, trying to like fish for a
No,
compliment. I had no. I was like, when did this guy come to our class? I don't remember
that's
him.
amazing. That's
He
amazing.
did it. He did it. Obviously, he did a guest spot. So, and he was killing. I'm like, who's this guy? He's hilarious. I
Right.
don't remember
Right.
him from.
Okay.
So a few months later,
Excuse me.
it's okay. Somebody had a bringer show, and I did it again, and then I did okay, and then I didn't do anything for like I think 7 months because my husband said, "You're training for an ultra marathon. Do you really have time for this?" And I said, "You're
Okay.
right. You're right. I have to focus on the ultra marathon."
Okay.
And he gave me a whole training regimen, a very very strict one, and I had three little kids, and so I didn't have time to go from Westchester to the
Yeah.
city and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
and I didn't know who I was going to gather to come see me. So I ended up just squashing that idea again of doing
Again.
it.
Yeah.
Maybe at a later date I'll do it. I really loved it, but I had a feeling I knew if I had to get good, I had to a hustle and b I had to get a lot of stage time to get better. I knew it,
Yeah.
and I still till this day I say that. But I ended up doing another show. My third one was like separated 7 months from like
Yeah. Yeah.
the second show,
I got you.
and I did really well on that,
Yeah.
really well, and that's when I knew.
You knew. Yeah. Yeah.
That's when I knew I could do this, and then I won a
Yeah.
contest right on my fourth try. I
Yeah.
won a contest, and then I got on for free without having to bring for a couple of shows. It wasn't the industry room. It wasn't any of that stuff that they promise you that you
Right.
passed.
Okay.
No, it wasn't that. So and it was other things, and I was like, oh, okay, I could get good at this. Then I moved
And
to
you
Hawaii.
are very good.
Oh, thank you,
You are very good. Do you
thank
want to
you.
move on? God, I only
No,
asked one question. You went for 10 minutes.
no, because I have a story. Because then I moved to Hawaii, and and I didn't do any comedy at all. So now
Okay.
just did about six things in New York. Went to Hawaii, didn't do well. After 3 years, took off completely. Did an open mic. They were like, I was still doing some Jewish jokes. They didn't know what the hell a Jew
In
was.
Hawaii.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
so then I said, "Can I come back?" They said, "Well, you have to do another open mic." I did another. It was another open mic, but it was at 8 o'clock, like prime time, instead of
Right.
10 o'clock after the show. They didn't
Uh-huh.
have a show that day. They said we're going to do an 8 o'clock special one with a real audience, and you have 7 minutes or 8 minutes. And I did it, and I did so well that they asked me while I was still there, "Could you come back as a paid comic?" Now in
Okay.
Hawaii, there's not that many comics as it is, so
Yeah, yeah.
they rotate whoever they can, and then they pay you. So I was a pro after 7 times doing it. But then you
Cool.
could hone your craft over there in Hawaii because you could do 15 to 20-minute spots, get paid. And it wasn't a lot of times that I was on, but it was a couple of times a month.
Right.
And I did longer sets. So I got better
Cool.
over there. And then when I
Okay.
moved back to New York, I ended up doing comedy in New York.
I actually have Lindsay Roth from Hawaii. She's a Hawaiian comic one. I want to move on because there's so much to cover. You've done so much. Besides doing stand up, you have a new
This is ginger ale.
podcast called Wife's a Bitch.
Mm-hmm.
What are you drinking?
Ginger ale, not to be confused with beer.
I thought
And
it was wine for shit's sake. I thought she's slugging wine right out of the bottle. I'm not that bad for
look at
God's
my
sake.
shirt. It says "Housewives Matter."
Look, I'm trying to help you here. This is all about you. It's your comedy minute, for God's sakes.
I wrote a
Wife's a
book,
bitch.
but
Wife's
Wife's a
a
Bitch is a sticker. That's just a
right.
sticker
Yeah,
on my
and
book.
there's a funny story about that, and you're going to get mad if I tell it, but I'm going to tell it.
Please, I don't get mad. I get even.
You made up some stickers with a QR code on it.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead
did.
and say it. Scott, you're an asshole.
But no, you're not. I want to show you the stickers.
No. Do you remember what because you sent me a message about it? Yeah, there it is. And what happened? What happened, Victoria? What happened? You put 1,000 of them out or so?
Oh yeah, they're all over Central Park. They're all over
Yeah.
everywhere. They're on trash cans. I
Right.
even went through the toll to get to Lincoln Tunnel yesterday, and there was like these barrels, and I was waiting in traffic, and I got out of my car and I put them on the barrels. There's other stickers on there too, so I figured,
But you didn't tell what happened when you first put them out.
what?
Don't you remember?
No.
You sent me a message. The QR code wasn't working.
Oh, yeah, the first QR code, it was working, but they wanted me to pay for it. And then I ended up doing another QR code with a coding guy. So I ended up,
Okay. All right. All right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought we
no,
had something.
no, we did, but I ended up,
Besides the podcast, you have a website titled that. You have merchandise, and I'll include the links to everything because, it is it. I got to be honest, and I'm not blowing hot air up your butt. I watched part of one today, and it was really, really good. In other words, you're a comedian, but yet this was real serious. It was about your marriage and husband, and
yeah,
just great stuff.
thank you. I appreciate that.
I
Yeah,
mean that.
I have another side to me, and I want to help as many people as I can. The comedy thing is just another medium for me to get through to young girls that are, looking to get married or keep a relationship. A lot of people don't work on their relationship, and
Right.
there's a lot of people that just flee, and they just like, especially if there's young girls that have money,
Yeah.
they don't need to work at it anymore. So that's lost. It's a lost art, and I want to bring that back. So
Well, and not like I can compare myself to you, but that's kind of what I'm doing or trying to do here. That it's not just about the comedy; it's about the story. It's about all that backstory,
yeah,
and because everybody knows they see your stand-up bit, but to come on here and to hear about you and your husband and different things with a sticker. I mean, that's just what I think is great.
thank you. I mean, there's a lot of dimensions to a comic. Usually, if a comic has something to say, there's a reason for it. And I've been through the mill. I mean, I was getting divorced twice. So I
Yeah.
think that my stories are interesting. I remember Dave Chappelle said, "You don't have to just be funny. You have to be interesting." And I really believe that I have an interesting life. So
You
much so that I wrote a book called Impress Yourself.
I you know what? Here, I make notes. I have it right here. You wrote a book, Impress Yourself.
Yeah, it came at a time where it was during the pandemic, and I said, you know what? I was going through such a hard time that I know someone else is going through a hard time. I know it, and
Yeah.
and I wrote it originally for my kids to know about my life, but then I was like, why don't I just put it on Amazon? Somebody else could benefit from this. Why not? So
Well,
that's
and
why.
for people that don't know, Victoria, we've never met.
Right,
We met 20 minutes ago.
right.
And I do them this way because I love the spontaneity. I don't know what you're going to
I'm
say.
the same
You,
way
but here's
in
what
my
I'll
background.
say. I
Yeah.
just met you, but you are an amazing woman. I can tell already. You've got so many great stories and stuff that just from the research I've done.
Thank you. You didn't do enough
I
research.
wish we had hours to spend on this, but we don't.
Scott, you didn't do enough research.
No,
You
I have people
didn't
tell me
dive deep
what.
enough.
No, no, but I'm not. I don't want to touch on that. We want to try and keep this a funny, happy little gig.
I mean, I'm misunderstood. You might as well just call me Mrs. Understood. I really am. I
A
really am very
little
misunderstood.
misunderstanding.
Well, you know what it is? I allow
Before you
people
were
to
married, that's what you were called. Little
just.
misunderstanding.
I allow people to just assume about me because they should assume
Sure.
until they meet me. And the reason why is because when you do meet me, you're like completely surprised that I'm not that person that people think I am. So
I, I get
it's
it.
it's kind of it's kind of nice to see them transition into, oh, you're really not that person. You really are a nice person. You're a generous
Well,
person.
and I think though, because this is how I first started to get to know you a little bit. When I say that, it was via Facebook and your posts and
Right.
things like that. You do shows besides, an author and doing stand up and your podcast. You put on shows. You're a booker or a producer, whatever you call it.
Producer, yeah.
And therefore, there are comedians, and I know other, producers that other comedians get pissed off,
Yes.
and they blame you for this or that. And I know you went through that, and you probably still go through that.
Yes. I've gotten through a lot of backlash from unknown comedians that are just trolling and just have a
Yeah,
problem with the way I operate.
yeah,
And they can have a problem all day long. I don't
yeah,
really care. I don't care. I really
yeah.
don't care. And the only thing that bothers me is that when people try to block people from coming on my shows and they threaten them and they're like, you can't do my show if you do Victoria's show, which is a horrible thing to do to somebody because there's enough room for everyone. There's enough stages. There's enough.
Yeah.
there's enough fire on your candle that it won't go out if you give someone else a little flame.
Yeah.
Just like, I just don't understand that kind of
Well,
concept.
not that I compare myself to you at all, but
You can,
my name's on the door. It's your
right,
comedy minute with Scotty T. I have one here who I want. And you act a certain way, or I won't have you on and I won't show the shit. I'll cut it off.
right.
I'm the same way. And that's why I'll tell you already, I love you. I love your attitude.
Thank
I'm a
you.
no bullshit kind of guy.
I like you already. And I have to say, I'm the same way with my podcast. I barely know the people that I'm interviewing. I met them maybe that day, like a week before, or some of them I know. But you really do get to know somebody
Oh,
through
not
a
you.
podcast
You
like
with you, I'm going to be nice as hell. You scare the shit out of me.
that. I don't know why.
You have a favorite show out of all you've done, and then the follow-up question, the least favorite show.
A favorite show that I have done?
Yeah, not something you watched on TV. I'm kidding.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I like it because it's two edged. You have your
I like,
favorite.
yeah, I like small, intimate settings.
Okay.
I really do like getting into the weeds with the audience
Yeah.
and really connecting. That really shows me the connection. The reason why I do it in the first place is because I love to connect through laughter. Because I love to laugh, so
Yeah.
I know when someone else is laughing, and when the room is electric, and they don't even have to be a lot of people. There could be 15 people in that room, but it's
Yeah.
electric.
And you go right after him. What do you do? You go right after him. I
Yeah,
love.
and I've been in, and I don't even do enough of that. I should be doing more of that. It was suggested by a good friend of mine, and I have to say, I've had people with 350 people in the room dead. They were dead. They weren't into it. There's nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
You couldn't. I was trying to do CPR on them, but they were just dead. They just didn't want it. And it is contagious. And if one is not laughing, the others are not laughing. I mean, one or two people laughing out of 350. I'd rather have the 15 that are electric and happy to be there.
Yeah.
That's really the truth. That's how I
Okay.
am. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not looking for fame. I'm looking for a good time. And that really is
Well,
the truth.
and put out good product.
Thank you.
No, well, and okay, now do you have a least favorite show? And that can be even one that you put on that the comedians all were terrible, or just something where.
How dare you? I never put on bad
No, no,
comedy.
I didn't
No,
mean.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
No,
kidding. I'm
you know
kidding.
what I'm talking. It's just
Yeah.
a shit show where the lights went down. Whatever.
I'll tell you when shit shows happen, it's usually because somebody is in my head right before I get on stage.
Right.
Um,
Yep. Me too.
Giving me shit or something like that. And it was like, or a last minute change. It's like, come on, you had time to tell me this. And then I'll get on stage and I'll be like pissed off. I'll use it. And I know how to change it. I know how to morph that. But it was a feeling that I got. The times that I was ever in my head or somebody was in my head and not connecting, that would be my worst.
I, I'm laughing because I've done 105, 107 YouTube lives, and this is true. One time, my sister texted me "fuck you" right before I started.
That's nothing. Oh my God, I would love that.
I just got,
That's the
hey,
most
how you doing?
mild.
I'm Scotty D from YouTube Live number 107. I'll never
You
forget.
don't know what my husband is. So when my husband and I were getting divorced, he told me from New York, and I was in Hawaii. He goes, "What are you doing? You're gonna just show your tits to these drunk people?"
Oh
And
no.
I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I'm doing."
Yeah,
And
right.
then I said, and I'm going to have a great time, and I'm going to talk about my upcoming divorce, which is better than my marriage jokes anyway. So fuck
Oh
you.
God.
And then I ended up having the best set. And then he called me. He says, "I want you back." I said, "Well, that's
That's
hilarious."
wonderful. What do you like doing more? The stand up or the podcast or putting on the shows? What do you like doing the most?
God damn, they're so close. I like the podcast, but I really love I really love stand up.
That's
That's my
what I thought the
favorite.
answer was going to be.
That's where my heart and my soul come alive. I really,
Right.
really believe that.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that was going to be the answer. That's normally what I get.
But I'm doing
Um,
the podcast to hopefully maybe translate that into ticket sales. Like I'm trying to do other avenues. I set up a table with two little stool
yeah,
chairs
yeah,
and a pink what do you call it, tablecloth, and I write free relationship advice.
yeah.
And people sit down, and I'm like, free relationship advice, and I'm like, all you have to do is follow me on Instagram. That's it. And
Right.
they sit down, and I've helped about 13 people already in 2 days.
Instagram is funny. I've had a couple jokes blow up on there. My last two jokes, 15,000, 17,000. But before that, 400, 400, 400, 400. It's been 400 for a week. I have no idea. I
I
just
don't
throw
know
them
either.
out there.
I've been shadow banned so many times because of my
No, I
political
know.
views.
And you know what? Anything I can do to help, trust me, I will.
Thank you.
Not that I can do anything, but I'll
Well,
try.
I did get in touch with Instagram finally, and they took
Did
down the
you?
warning that they had on me.
Yeah.
Any new followers would get a warning saying, "Are you sure you want to follow Victoria on
Oh,
Instagram?
God.
He gives misinformation." And I'm like, "Could you take that down?" And they're like,
Well,
"Okay, we'll take that down." They took that down.
I, I know this isn't a pissing contest, okay? But I got kicked off Facebook 9 times in 1 year.
That's
I
it.
got kicked off YouTube for 3 days. Then I got kicked off to YouTube for
Okay.
7 days.
Amateur,
And God knows what, I
amateur, honey, I got you beat.
hold your beer.
Oh yeah, I got you beat. Oh, big time. I had an account on Instagram completely wiped out from a
Oh,
joke.
I had that on Facebook.
I had to put another
I
number to get another account. Like this is not even a joke. Victoria the comedian is no longer. I had
yeah,
about 6,000 followers, and
I
all
had
of a
that.
sudden
I
just
had that on Facebook. I had six
wiped
thousand
out.
followers, reaching 1 million people a day, and they kicked it. They just cooked the whole goddamn page down.
All from a joke. I mean, it was the
I
23rd,
know.
23rd warning, but it was still a joke from a joke.
Let's move on. You
Okay.
got, because you and I can talk for ages about that. And it's what's really screwed up is there's no one you can actually call and talk to and say,
I know.
"Look, it was a joke. It's look at
I,
the damn." If
Well,
I
because
have,
I'm verified on Instagram, I think there's an extra like benefit of talking to somebody on chat, which is what I did
okay,
recently.
good.
That's what.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just I've had one time where they reversed it and said, "You're right. It was just a joke."
Right, right, right. That
All
happened to
right,
me.
living in New York, you see some crazy stuff, and just recently you did a post, and I was wondering if you want to tell people about that. Do you
Which
remember
one?
the guy playing guitar?
Oh, yeah. Somebody took his tips after he was singing about "It's a Wonderful World."
Yeah, I was wondering, was that really true?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
guy just ran away with his tips, and he's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "I wonder what song he's gonna play next." I didn't stick around, but I was very curious.
um,
You think it's a wonderful world, buddy?
yeah, we mentioned our friend Stacy Pressman, and
Yes.
Stacy's real wound up about what's going on in New York with all the mayor and just the
Well,
crime
she
and
was running for mayor, so
no,
she
I
was.
know. She was on, and I told her if I lived there, I would have voted for her.
Well, you would have been the only one. No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm going to have her back on. I think she wants to do a rant
I
with
was
all
making a joke, Stacy. I love you.
you two are cut from the same mold.
Yeah.
You,
Well, we went
you,
to day camp together years ago.
no,
Yeah.
you both scare the shit out of me. That's why I'm just trying to get this thing wrapped up and end it while on a good note. You did a bit, or you told me about Mount Everest. You want to? I watched part of it today, and I just was howling.
Yeah. I
I love it.
well, so this really happened. My husband told me we were laying around in bed casually a couple months ago, and he said out of nowhere, "I want an adventure. I want to go hiking on Mount Everest." I said, "What?"
Right.
Mountain, like the real, it wasn't a metaphor in our marriage. He wanted to climb the actual mountain, the tallest mountain in the world. I said, how much is that going to cost? He goes, $70,000. I said, 70? That means it's probably 100 because married guys lie to their wives all the time. So I said, $70,000. Do you know how many Gucci bags I can get for $70,000? It's not that many actually. But anyway, he goes, you don't understand. I need the surprise and the adrenaline rush. So I pushed him off the bed and I thought it would handle, everything. It was free. We didn't have to leave the house, but he wasn't going for it. I'm like, why don't you climb these mountains for 10,000 a month, you
Right.
bastard? So he ends up going to Mount Everest, and it takes about a month to go. And I don't know if he's, on Mount Everest or mounting a girl named Everest. Anyway, so I'm like in limbo. I don't know if he's, alive or if he's leaving me, a shit ton of money with my kids. I have no idea. So I'm in limbo this whole time for a month. It's very scary. So, when he was away, I finally joined the dating site Tinder. And I was like, you never know. And then as I was walking through the Maserati dealership, he called and said he came back from the mountain. So I was like, great.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it was a very scary time because he did almost die. 4 different times he lost oxygen, and without oxygen, you're dead. And he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
falling into a coma. He was falling into the death sleep. And his Sherpa, who's acclimated to the mountain, gave him his oxygen mask 10 minutes
Okay.
before peak. And he finally summited, and now he's back, and he has a story to tell, and he has a whole
Okay.
documentary coming out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it was a very
Oh,
scary time. That whole
yeah.
time, I was like, this week I'm going to be a widow. That's what I kept
Yeah.
saying. I
Well,
kept
thank
saying it.
God. And I didn't, because it is a comedy show, and I didn't mean to bring
No,
it down.
no, no.
No, I
It's
mean, I just
I
love.
bring it up in my comedy because I thought that people would find that interesting.
No, it is great.
But some people they don't even really react, and some people after I get off the
Well,
stage are like,
because
"Was that true?"
it's like, yeah, well, it's like the guitar guy. I mean, because you're such a great storyteller, and you have a presence to you. Again, I keep throwing names out there, but like Vanessa Hollingshead has that
Yeah,
presence where you
yeah.
just come down the pipes and you listen, and I pay attention, and you scare me.
Well, I was hoping that I was more engaging than being a fright fest, but
No, no, no. I'm teasing you, but
I
no,
know.
you command respect, and there's just a presence, and people. That's why I think you are, just amazing. For me
Thank
anyway.
you. Thank you. I've
I
evolved
but
into it. I give zero fucks. That's really the truth. I'm in my
no, but
50s.
I worked in the music business. I've had I have a picture with Ringo Starr, Dave Matthews, Easy Top. I've
No,
done my share of shit, and people used to think I was arrogant. Like you were talking about,
you
and it's like
misunderstood.
you don't even know me.
Right.
You don't even know who I am.
Well, I mean, it's okay to not give any fucks and also have a generous heart. Like I feel like that
Yep,
about a
that's
lot of
me.
people.
That's the
That's
way I am.
me. I feel like a lot of people are like that because they have to be very abrasive at times, but they also know
Yeah,
where they stand. And you know what? With me, you're not getting a filter. You're always going to get the real deal.
yeah,
So the harshness that I am when I tell you off,
yeah,
I'll give you the same passion in a compliment.
yeah,
Like they're both real. So you're
yeah.
going to get both sides and they're both
I
equally
won't
true.
look for any. I won't
What
look
you see
for
is what you
any.
get with me
I
because
got
I
it.
don't fuck around. You know what I mean? So it could be in a good way and it could be in a bad way.
I
But isn't
got
that
it.
nice? Isn't that nice
See,
to
yeah,
not be a phony?
okay. I'm sliding back a little bit. I'm moving back a little bit.
It's so nice to not be with a phony.
Yeah,
I
no, it
can't. I
is.
would rather someone tell me "fuck you" to my face and tell me the truth than someone who's smiling and totally
Oh
telling me
yeah,
nothing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I don't want that lie.
yeah.
I'm not interested in the fake saccharin bullshit. I
Right.
want the real deal. I want sugar. I don't want saccharin.
Okay. All right. All right. We've established it. All right. Look, we had some technical difficulties, so we don't have a lot of time left. I want you to cover everything. I mean, we covered the book, we covered the podcast. Anything you have coming up that you want to tell the people, let's do that. And if you can still squeeze out some kind of your comedy minute for me, I'd be grateful.
Okay. I ended up not, I took a little bit of a break from producing shows. I'm still trying to
Okay.
assess what I want to do next.
Okay.
Um, I might want to do some theater stuff,
Okay.
comedy theater.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Fill up a theater, and I'm going to see if I'm going to be featuring or might do road work
Okay.
with another headliner, and I'm looking into that. And my Instagram is Victoria Makes You Laugh with a YOU.
Right.
Um, if I do produce any shows and you're an up and coming comic, you could DM me on Victoria Makes You Laugh or contact me through my website, wifesabitch.com.
I'll
But
put I'll put all the links. I'll
thank
put all
you.
the links on this interview so
Thank
everyone.
you.
Yep. Sure.
And I really don't know what my next show is going to be right now, but I'm definitely follow me because I'm definitely going to come through somewhere, somehow, some way. I'm not going to stop.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nobody's stopping me, and they could
No.
try, but they're not going to stop me.
And if you had a good time when you want, you come back and we'll promote the hell out of it.
I will. Thank you. That's so
Okay.
sweet of you, Scott.
So
And
let's
what was
try
the
it.
comedy minute?
Look, we're going to do a formal introduction, and you can just make it up whatever you want to do. All right.
Okay.
Victoria Arnstein, your comedy minute. Go ahead, my friend.
I really, I mean, I know you told me about this, but I don't even know. I don't know what joke I should tell. Like,
You
I
can
just
do whatever you want. Make
okay.
up a story. Make
Okay, no,
something up.
no,
I
I
don't
will
give a
say this.
shit.
I will say this. I will say this.
All
I'm
right, go
very,
ahead.
I mean, I get criticized by my own kids. They're older now, but they've never watched porn a day in their life. And I'm really proud of that fact. And the reason I know they never watch porn is because I told them back in the day I was a porn star.
Okay.
So I don't think they'll ever have the guts to ever. There's not enough therapy in the world for that. But my husband doesn't stop trying to look for it. I'm kidding. He doesn't watch porn. The
I,
reason I
I,
know, no, the reason I
I tell
know
you
is
what, right after this interview's over, I'm going to start searching.
no, the reason I know my husband doesn't watch porn is because I told him that his mom was a porn star. So less than a minute, but
That's good. Let me stop the recording so we can talk for a minute off the air, if that's okay.
we got it. Thank you, and
No,
thank you
thank you.
everyone for
I
watching.
mean it. It's a long time coming, but hopefully you had a good time. And like I said, you can come
Okay.
back anytime you want.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Scott.
Let me stop the recording.